Hi, this is Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, and you're listening to BriefingsDirect. Our next Innovation Thought Leadership panel discussion examines how digital business transformation has been accomplished by several prominent enterprises. We'll explore how the convergence of cloud, mobility, and big data analytics has prompted companies to innovate and produce new levels of productivity. We're now joined by some finalists from the Citrix Synergy 2016 Innovation Awards program. So please join me in welcoming our panel. We're here with Olaf Romer, Head of Corporate IT and Group CIO at Balias in Basel, Switzerland. Welcome.
Hi, Dana. Thank you very much for your invitation.
We're also here with Alan Crawford, CIO of Action for Children in London. Hello, Alan.
Hello, Dana. Great to join you.
And we're here with Craig Patterson, CEO of Patterson & Associates in San Antonio, Texas. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you very much for letting me be here.
Let's start with you, Olaf. What are some of the major trends that drove you to re-examine the workplace conceptually, and how did you arrive at your technology direction for innovating in that regard?
Yes, first of all, we are in Swiss traditional insurance, so our driver was to become a little bit more modern, to get the new people, the new generation Y people in our company. In Switzerland, this is for us a little bit a problem. We have big companies also in Zurich, for example, and so that's very important for us. And we did this in two directions. One direction is on the IT side, and the other direction is on the real estate side. So we changed from the traditional office boxes to a flex office with open space, like Google has it also. So nobody has an own desk, also for me not. And so we can go in each direction of our office and to sit to whom we think it's necessary to be there. And this must be also on an IT side. And so we go in this direction to go for more mobility, to go for a more easy way to work in our company.
And because you're an insurance organization, you have a borderless type of enterprise where you need to interact with field offices, other payers, suppliers, customers, of course. That ability to deal with many different types of endpoint environments, was that also a concern, and how did you solve that?
Yes, we started with this point. The first was to go in our company. And now we want to go outside to our brokers, to our customers. And on this side, always the security aspect is very, very important. And so we're still working on it to be absolutely secure, because we are handling the customer data and we are sensitive data. And so we are still in the process to open our ecosystem outwards our company to the brokers, customers directly, but also to other companies we work with.
Great. Alan, tell us about Action for Children and what you've been doing in terms of increasing the mobile style of interactions in business.
Sure. So Action for Children is a UK charity. It helps 300,000 children, families and young people every year. It's got about 5,000 staff and operates from between 300 and 500 branches, so 300 are our own, and a couple of hundred locations are with our partner agencies. And actually, when I started there, the big driver was around security and mobility. So a lot of the XP computers were running out of support, and the staff outside the office were working on paper. So there's a great opportunity by giving modern tablets to staff to improve the productivity. And productivity in our case really means if you spend less time doing unnecessary visits or do something in one visit instead of three, you can spend more quality time with the family to improve the outcomes for the children.
And of course, as a nonprofit organization, costs are always a concern, and we've heard an awful lot here at Citrix Synergy about lower cost client and endpoint devices. Has that been good news to your ears?
It has. So we started with security and productivity as being the main drivers. But actually, as we've rolled out, we have seen those productivity improvements arise. And now we're looking at the cost, about the savings we can make on travel, on print, on stationery. And our budget this year is 1.3 million sterling less than it was the year before we introduced tablets for those things. So we're trying to work out exactly how much of that we can attribute to the mobile technology and how much of that is due to other factors.
Great. Craig, you're working with a number of public sector organizations. Tell us a little bit about what they're facing and what mobility as a style of work means to them.
Absolutely, yes. I'm working with a lot of public housing authorities, one Lucas Metropolitan, another one Hampton Redevelopment Agency, and what they're facing is declining budgets and a need to do more with less. When we look at traditional housing authority and government service agencies, paper-based, paper just continues to multiply. It's like you put one piece in the copier and 20 pieces come out. And so being able to take the documents that contain secure private information of our clients and connect those with the clients out in the field is why we need mobility and efficiency and workflows. And the cloud is what came to mind with that. So both with content management, where we can capture data out in the field, we can move our staff out in the field. We don't have to bring all of the clients into the office, which can sometimes pose a hardship, especially for elderly, disabled, and many of those in the greatest need. Mobility and the efficiency with the cloud and the security has become paramount in how we perform our business.
I suppose another aspect of mobility is the ability to bring data and analytics to the very edge. Have you yet to take advantage of that, or do you see that as something that you're going to be working toward?
We know that it's something we're working towards. We know with the analytics that we've been able to see so far that mobility is the key. For some time, people have thought that we can't put things online like applications for affordable housing because people don't have access to the internet. Well, our analytics prove that entirely wrong. Age groups as 75 and 80 were accessing it on mobile devices faster than the younger group were. So what it means is that they find a relative, they find that grandchild or whoever they need to that allows them to access the internet, and that it's been our mindset that has kept us from making the internet and those mobility avenues into our systems available on a broader scale. So we're moving in that direction so that self-service to that community can be displayed more in a broader context.
Great. Alan?
Yeah, on the analytics and how that's helped by the mobile working. So very similar for us in Action for Children. In the same year we've rolled out tablets, we've started to do outcome measures with the children we work with. So that for each child we do a baseline measure when we first meet the family, and then it might be 3 months later, whatever the period of the intervention, we do a further measure. And being able to do that directly on a tablet with the family present has really enhanced the outcome measures. So we've now got measures on 50,000 children collectively, and we can aggregate that up, see what the trends are, see what the patterns are geographically, and by types of service and types of intervention.
So it's that two-way street. The more data and analytics you can bring down to the edge, the more you can actually capture and reapply, and that creates a virtuous cycle of improvement in productivity.
Absolutely. And it's, you know, in this case, we are looking at the data already and learning lessons about what works better to improve the outcomes for disadvantaged children, which is really what we're about.
Now, Olaf, user experience is a big topic these days, and in insurance, going right to the very edge of where there might be a settlement event of some sort, back to the broker, back to the enterprise. User experience improvements at every step of that means ultimately a better productive outcome for your end customers. How does user experience factor into this mobility and data and analytics equation?
Yeah. First of all, the insurance business is a little bit another business than the others have here. The problem is that our customers normally don't want to touch us during the year. They get one time an invoice from us, and then they have to pay the premium. And then they hope, and we also hope, that they will not have a claim. And so we have only a one touch a year, and this is a little bit the problem. So we try to do everything to be more attractive for the customer, to get them to us, so that they, for them it's clear if we have a problem or we need a new insurance, we go to Balois Insurance. But this do all of other companies also. And So we are working on it to bring I say it a little bit, the consumeration. In former years, the insurance business was very difficult. It was intransparent, and the customers have to answer 67 questions before he can make an insurance with us. And this is the point we do yet to get simple, to make it simple as possible, and to work with the new technology we have on that to be attractive for the customers, like to make an insurance on an iPhone. That's not so easy. If you talk with a core insurance guide who have to calculate the premiums, then they won't already have the 67 answers from the customers. And this is the point. I think not only the technology, but to work a little bit in a different way in the insurance business. And also there, the technology will help us. For me, always the buzzword big data. And now we have to bring out the value of these lots of data we have in our business, and so that we can go directly with the right user interface to the right customer area.
Another concept that we've heard quite a bit here at the event at Synergy is the need to allow IT to say yes more often. Starting with you, Craig, what are you seeing in the trends and in the technology that is perhaps most impactful for you to be able to say yes to the requests and the need for agility in these businesses and these public sector organizations?
I would say it's the device agnosticism, so to speak, where you bring your own device. It's a device that the individual is already familiar with, and I'm going to take it from two angles. It could be the employee that's delivering a service out to a customer in the field that can bring their own device, or a partner, or a contractor that we can integrate, shrink wrap certain data so that we still have data security while they're deploying or doing something out in the field for us, whether it be inspections, whether it be customer service, medical, etc. But then on the other end, on the client end, they have their own device. And by us being able to deliver products through portals that don't care what device they have, but it's based on mobile protocols and secure, those are the types of trends that I see that are going to allow us to collect the big analytics, know what we think we know, and find out whether we really know it or not, and get the facts for it. And then the other piece of it, though, is to make it easy to access the services that we provide to the community, because now it's a digital community. It's not just the hardcore on-the-streets community. To see people in a waiting line now for applications hurts my feelings. Now we want to see them online, accessing it 24/7 when it makes sense for them, and those are the types of services that I see becoming the greater trends in our industry.
Mm-hmm. Alan, what allows you to say yes more often?
Well, that has been great, I have to say. When I started Action for Children, the XP laptops were saying no to everything. So, including it only supported a really old browser. So there's, as well as doing like a parenting program within our centre now, they're using the tablets and the technologies to have Facebook groups, so a closed Facebook group with those families. So they now peer support each other outside hours when children are going to bed, which is often when they have issues in a family. And it's moderated by a care worker. They use Eventbrite, the booking app, so there's some standard off-the-shelf apps. But the one really enterprising service of ours in a rural community currently tell everybody in that community what services they're running through posters and flyers that printed off. And they've moved to let's develop our own app. So that'll be, the prototype's already out there. So the full app will be out there in a few weeks' time. And we're saying yes to all of those things. Actually, we want to support them. So it's not just yes, it's yes, and how can we help you do that?
And Olaf, of course, productivity is only as good as the metrics. So we need to convince the higher-ups in the boardroom that we need more investment or that we're doing good work with our technology. Do you have any measurements, metrics, even anecdotes about how you measure productivity and what you've done to modernize your workspaces?
Yes. For us, it's the feedback of the people. I think it's very difficult to measure it on a clear technological level, but I think the feedback from the people is very, very good and very important for us. And you can see also with the use your own device, we introduced 1.5 years ago that and a stronger collaboration cultural change, to say we have to work much more efficiently together in the company. And on the different departments. In former times we have closed file shares, and I cannot see the files of the other department next to me. And now we are working complete on a modern collaboration way, and still we are on traditional insurance. So that's, I would say, like on your side with the government, it's very hard for them to work in this new style, to be open and to show on what we are working. And so back to your question, beginning there were very strong concerns about that, and I think now we are on a cultural way to shift this, and so we get a lot of good feedback that in project teams or in case of some problems of issues, we can work much more better and faster together.
And Craig, of course, it's great to say yes to your constituents, but it's also good to say we're doing more with less to your higher-ups and those that control the budget. Any metrics of success that you can recall in some of the public sector organizations you're working with?
Absolutely. Especially, I'll talk about files and workflow. When a document comes in the organization, we had mapped before how much time and money does it take to get it in a file folder, having been viewed by everyone that it needs to get viewed by. And just to give quick context, before a document took a file folder, a label maker, copy machine getting up, and every time a person needed to put a document in that folder, someone had to get it there. So the term file clerk is actually becoming obsolete. Now when a document comes in, it gets scanned, it's instantaneously put in the correct order in the right electronic folder, and an electronic notification is sent to the person who needs to know. That happens in seconds. And when you look at each month, what that amounts to, it amounts to savings before where we were managing files rather than assisting people. And the metrics are in the neighborhood of just about 75% paper reduction because people aren't making copies, which means they're not going to the copy machine. And along the way, the water cooler and conversation pits along the way that also abate some of the efficiencies. So we can see it now, and before when overtime was in, we can now see how many file folders did you look at, how many documents did you actually touch, read, and review in comparison with somebody else. We've had many that 5 documents in comparison with 1,700 in a month. And so that starts to tell you some things about where your workload is shifting. Everybody doesn't like that. They might consider it a little bit big brother. But we need those analytics to know how best to change our workflows to serve our customer, and that's the community.
I don't know if this is a metric that's easy to measure, but less bureaucracy would be something that I think just about everyone would be, pro on. Can you perhaps point to something that says we're able to reduce bureaucracy through technology?
Absolutely. When you look at bureaucracy and unnecessary paper flows, there's certain yes and no questions that are part of bureaucracy where somebody has it go to their desk and it says, my job is to stamp yes or no on it. Well, what decision do you have to make? Well, I really don't. I just have to stamp yes or no. To me, that's classic bureaucracy. Well, if the document hits that person's desk and it meets a certain criteria or threshold, the computer automatically, instantaneously approves it, and it has an audit trail. It has a documented audit trail, and that saves some of our clients in the housing authority industry when they have auditors come and review things. But if you had to make a decision, it forced you to make a decision, and it timed how long it took you to make it. So then we can look at why is it taking so long, or are there questions that you don't need to be answering.
So let the systems do what they do best. Let the people do the exception management and the value-added activities. Exactly. Alan, you had some thoughts about metrics of success or bureaucracy, or both?
It's the metrics interest me. And the Citrix CEO talked at Citrix Synergy about productivity actually going down in the last few years. So we've put all these tablets out there, and we've got individual case studies where a particular family support worker, we know they've driven 1,700 miles in the year with the tablet, and it's 3,400 miles in the year prior. And that's like a proxy measure of how much time they're spending on the road with all the associated cost of petrol, fuel and wasted time and effort. But then we've just installed an app, actually, and rolled it out in the last month or so, that gives us measures of how many of those tablets have been switched on in the month, how much they've been used in the day, what they've been used for, and we can break that down by the geographical areas and give that information back to the line managers, because they're the people actually it will make sense to. And we're at a stage where, I mean, it's great information, it's really powerful, but it's actually to understand how many hours a day should they be using that tablet. We're not quite sure, if we're honest, and it probably varies from one type of service to another. So we'll look at those trends over a period of months, but actually just giving managers that, yes, your staff used it 90% in your area, actually it's 85% in yours. All managers, I find, are fairly competitive. And they're like, hang on, why are my guys not using it as much in the north versus the west, for example?
Well, that might be a hallmark of business agility, when you can try things out. A/B testing, we'll try this, we'll try that. We don't pay a penalty for doing that. We can simply learn from it and immediately apply our lesson back to the process.
Absolutely. So it's all about how do we support those areas where we identify they're not making the most of the technology they've been given. And it might be human factors around they're very fearful in the staff or even the managers, or it might be technical ones. There's sort of inhibitors around mobile network coverage and even broadband coverage in some rural areas. So, yeah, we'll just follow up on all of those user experience information we get back and try and proactively improve them.
Olaf, when we ask enterprises where they are in their digital transformation, many are saying just at the beginning. For you, who are obviously well into a digital transformation process, what lessons learned could you share? Any words of advice for others as they embark on this journey?
Yes, I think the first digital transformation in insurance business were in the middle of 1990s. Then we started to go paperless and work with a digital offering system. And so today we have more than 90% of our new insurance contracts are completely paperless. In Germany, for example, you can give a digital signature. It's not allowed for the moment in Switzerland, but from a technical perspective, we can do this. So my advice would be that the digitalization gave you a good situation to think about to make it simple. And I see that we build up a great complexity in the last years, and now we are able to bring this down and to bring it to as simple as possible. And so we created the slogan "Simply Safe" for us to rethink everything what we are doing to make it simple and safe. Again, for an insurance, that's very important. And I think that's the very, very important thing, that the digitalization bring us not more complexity, but reduce it.
Great. Craig, same question. Digital transformation, lessons learned. What advice can you offer others as they embark?
In digital transformation, I'll just use document and workflow. Start with the higher-end items. There's the low-hanging fruit there. I don't know if we'll ever be totally paperless, which would really allow us to go mobile. But at the same time, know what not to scan, know what to archive and just get rid of. And I think not hanging on to old technologies for too long. I think that's something else that's starting to happen. The technological revolution and life cycle of technology is shorter, and we need to plan our strategies along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Alan, words of advice on those yes. Also interested in digital transformation?
Yeah, so for us it's started about really connecting with our cause. So we've got social care staff, and saying to them we're going to do digital transformation is not going to really enthuse them. However, if you explain this is about actually improving the lives of children with technology, then they start to get interested. So there's a bit about using your cause and relating the change to your cause. A lot of it's a lot of other people factors and how do you engage and train and what have you. And the thing there is it's no longer IT saying, look, here's the solution and we expect you to do ABC. It's us working with those social care workers and here are the options, what will work for you and how should we approach that. But then it's never letting up. actually there is a lot of, you've got to follow through on all this change to get the real benefits out of it. So there's a bit about, you've got to be a bit sort of tenacious with it to really see the benefits in the end.
Yeah. Tie your digital transformation into your organization's mission, that there's no daylight between them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we called the project Digitally Enabling Action for Children, and that was to try and link the two together inextricably.
Very good. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. You've been listening to a BriefingsDirect discussion focused on digital business transformation and how that's been accomplished by several prominent enterprises. We've heard how the convergence of cloud, mobility, and big data analytics has prompted these companies to innovate and produce new levels of productivity. And some of them are finalists from this year's Citrix Synergy 2016 Innovation Awards program. So please join me now in thanking our guests. We've been here with Olaf Romer, Head of Corporate IT and Group CIO at Baliace in Basel, Switzerland. Alan Crawford, CIO of Action for Children in London, and Craig Patterson, CEO of Patterson & Associates in San Antonio, Texas. And a big thank you to our audience as well for joining this Citrix-sponsored Business Innovation Thought Leadership discussion. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host and moderator. Thanks again for listening, and do come back next time.